Who is truly holding you back? Take a moment, really think about it. Is it your past? The people around you? The lack of opportunities? Maybe it feels like life itself is working against you. But what if I told you none of those things are your real enemy? Because the biggest enemy you'll ever face isn't out there. It's not your circumstances, not the critics, not even your past failures. It's you. It's the voice in your head that whispers, I'm not good enough. The doubt that creeps in when you dare to dream. The fear that convinces you to stay comfortable, to play it safe, to wait for the right time that never comes. Think about all the times you wanted to start something but didn't. You wanted to take action, but something invisible pulled you back. Maybe you told yourself you weren't ready. Maybe you convinced yourself that someone like you could never succeed, and so you waited. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and before you knew it, nothing changed. Meet David. He had dreams once, big ones. He wanted to start his own business. He had ideas, he had passion, but every time he sat down to work on them, another voice spoke louder. What if I fail? What will people think? I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough money. So he did what so many of us do. He put it off. He waited. And each time he hesitated, that voice inside him grew stronger until eventually his dreams faded into the background. But here's the hard truth. David wasn't being held back by his circumstances. It wasn't a lack of resources, time, or knowledge. It was him. His own doubt, his own hesitation. And if that sounds familiar, then I need you to ask yourself something. What if the biggest obstacle in your life is you? What if the limits you think exist are the ones you've placed on yourself? What if the person standing in your way isn't the world, but the version of you that's too afraid to step up? And what if, starting today, you finally made a choice to stop fighting yourself and start fighting for yourself? Because if you don't, who will? We all have dreams, goals, and ambitions, but for so many of us, something always seems to get in the way. And most of the time, it's not the world stopping us. It's us. We fight ourselves. We create invisible chains. Every time we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, that chain tightens. Every time we say, it's too late for me, it gets heavier. Every time we think, I don't have the resources, we make the walls around us higher, and before we know it, we're trapped. Not by reality, but by a mindset that keeps us stuck. But why do we do this? Why do we fight against our own success? Because deep down, there's fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of stepping outside of what feels safe and comfortable. The comfort zone feels warm, familiar, but it's a prison disguised as security. It tells you, stay here. You know what to expect. It's easier this way. And so you listen. You hold yourself back because stepping into the unknown feels terrifying. Then there's imposter syndrome, the voice that whispers, who do you think you are? You're not special. Someone else deserves success more than you. Even when we're qualified, even when we're ready, that voice makes us question ourselves until we shrink back into the shadows. And what about the fear of judgment? The thought of people watching, criticizing, laughing at our mistakes, it makes us hesitate. It makes us doubt ourselves before we even begin. But here's what we don't realize. Every excuse, every fear, every hesitation is a weight we're carrying. Imagine running a marathon with a heavy backpack filled with self-doubt, fear, and past failures. At first, you tell yourself, I can handle this. You push forward. But with every step, the weight pulls you down. Your legs feel heavier. Your breath gets shorter. The finish line, it feels impossible to reach. And eventually, you stop running. Not because you couldn't make it, but because you convinced yourself you weren't strong enough to finish. This is what we do to ourselves. We carry unnecessary weight. We let doubt exhaust us before we even take the first step. And in the end, the race never beats us. We beat ourselves. And the cost? Regret, stagnation, lost opportunities, the job you didn't apply for, the dream you didn't chase, the life you could have had, but never did, because you let your own mind stand in the way. But what if, just for a moment, you put that backpack down? What if you decided to stop carrying the weight that's been slowing you down for years? What if you finally stepped forward, free from the doubts that were never real to begin with? Because here's the truth. You were never incapable. You were never too late. You were never not enough. The only thing stopping you was believing that you were. There comes a moment in life, a defining moment, when you stand face to face with the truth. Stand up and define the life that you were born to. Stand up and define a life that was defined in your mind to fail you. Stand up and define a life that was defined in your mind to fail you. And when you stand up and face with the truth, no more excuses, no more distractions, just you and the reality of who you are and who you could become. It's the mirror moment. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects everything, your strengths, your weaknesses, your dreams, and your fears. It shows the version of you that the world sees, but more importantly, it shows the version of you that you believe in. And that belief, it changes everything. Because the person staring back at you isn't just who you are right now. It's also the person you have the power to become. But the question is, do you see it? Take a look at some of the greatest people in history, people we admire, people who changed the world. Do you think they never had doubts? Never felt like giving up? Never questioned if they were good enough? Look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But do you know what happened before all the championships, before the success? He got cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine that, a kid with big dreams, standing in front of a list, searching for his name, only to realize it wasn't there. Most people would have given up. Most people would have taken that moment as proof that they weren't good enough. But Michael, he didn't accept that version of himself. Instead of letting failure define him, he used it to fuel him. He worked harder, pushed himself further. And that moment, the rejection, the disappointment, it became the reason he went on to become a legend. Now, ask yourself, what are you telling yourself daily? When you look in the mirror, do you build yourself up or do you tear yourself down? Are you saying, I can do this, or are you whispering, I'll never make it? Are you looking at your reflection and seeing potential, or are you only focusing on the flaws? Because here's the truth. Your potential isn't limited by the world. It's not limited by your past, your failures, or what others think of you. It's limited by your mindset. The way you see yourself determines everything. The actions you take, the risks you're willing to face, the belief you hold about what's possible for your life. So take one more look in that mirror, not with judgment, not with doubt, but with the understanding that you are still in control. Who you were yesterday doesn't have to define who you become tomorrow. And the person staring back at you, they are capable of more than you've ever imagined. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. Every day, a silent narrative runs in the background of your mind, influencing every decision you make. For too long, that story may have sounded like this: I'm not good enough. I can't do this. It's too late for me. But what if you could flip the script? What if, instead of saying I can't, you started asking, how can I? This simple shift changes everything, because when you tell yourself I can't, your brain accepts it as truth. It stops looking for solutions. It shuts down possibility. But when you ask, how can I? Your mind does something incredible. It starts searching for answers. It begins to see opportunities where before there were only roadblocks. This isn't just motivation, it's science. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself, a process called neuroplasticity. Every thought you repeat strengthens neural pathways. If you've spent years feeding yourself doubt, your brain has built strong connections around that belief. But here's the good news. You can rewire those pathways. You can create new connections, ones built on confidence, resilience, and action. But let's be real. Words alone won't change you. Saying positive affirmations in the mirror won't magically transform your life. Affirmations are a tool, but they only work if you pair them with action. Think about it. If you tell yourself, I am disciplined, but constantly break your own promises, do you truly believe it? Confidence isn't built through empty words, it's built through small wins. Small wins are powerful because they create momentum. Every time you do what you say you're going to do, whether it's waking up early, following through on a commitment, or pushing past fear, you build self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. It doesn't have to be a massive leap. Start small, set a goal, and keep it. If you say you're going to work out for 10 minutes, do it. If you say you're going to write for 5 minutes, follow through. Each time you honor your word, you rewrite your story. And then there's visualization, the power of seeing your success before it happens. Athletes use it, CEOs use it. Why? Because when your brain sees something clearly enough, it begins to believe it's real. Picture yourself succeeding. Feel it. See yourself walking across that stage, launching that business, overcoming that fear. The clearer the vision, the stronger the belief. Because here's the truth, your brain doesn't just respond to reality, it responds to the story you tell it. So what story are you going to tell? The one that holds you back or the one that sets you free? The hardest truth you will ever face is this: no one is coming to save you. No mentor, no perfect opportunity, no lucky break will magically change your life. It's on you. At first, that might feel overwhelming, but if you look deeper, it's not a burden, it's freedom. Because if your life is in your hands, that means you have the power to change it. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You can decide right now to take control. And it all starts with self-awareness. Growth doesn't come from avoiding the truth. It comes from facing it. You have to look at your habits, your decisions, and your patterns, not with shame, but with honesty. Where are you holding yourself back? What excuses do you keep repeating? Are you blaming circumstances when deep down you know you haven't given it your all? The goal isn't to judge yourself, it's to understand yourself. Because when you understand, you can change. But if you keep lying to yourself, making excuses, or blaming everything but your own choices, nothing will ever improve. It's time to break the cycle. Maybe you've been stuck in a loop, starting and stopping, waiting for motivation, convincing yourself that next week, next month, next year will be different. But unless you change something now, that cycle will never end. Look at two people in the same situation. One loses their job and sees it as proof that life is unfair. They complain, they dwell on the negativity, and they stay stuck. The other person, facing the exact same setback, sees an opportunity. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I come back stronger? That's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. One believes their situation defines them. The other believes they have the power to define their situation. So ask yourself, which one will you choose? Because no matter what has happened to you before, no matter how many times you've failed, you are not stuck, you are not helpless, but the change you want, it starts with you. There's a battle happening inside you right now, the old you versus the new you. One is clinging to comfort, repeating the same habits, making the same excuses. The other is fighting to break free, to grow, to become something greater. And make no mistake, this is a war. Because change isn't easy. Your old self will resist. It will pull you back into old patterns, whispering, just skip today. You'll start tomorrow. It's too hard. What if you fail? But here's what you need to understand. Tomorrow is the excuse of the week. The pain of change is real. Waking up earlier, pushing yourself, making sacrifices. It's uncomfortable. But do you know what's worse? The pain of regret. There's a famous truth. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. The effort you put in today might feel heavy, but the weight of missed opportunities, that burden stays with you forever. So which pain will you choose? Winners act despite fear. Losers wait for motivation. And that's why most people stay stuck. They wait to feel ready. But the truth is, motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you create through action. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of marble. That marble is you, raw, unshaped, full of potential. Every action you take is a strike of the chisel. Every time you show up, push through doubt, or choose discipline over comfort, you carve away the weak version of yourself, and eventually a new version emerges, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. That's how champions are built. Look at the most successful people in any field. Do you think they felt confident every day? Do you think they never struggled with self-doubt? No, the difference is they kept going anyway. They pushed past the discomfort, knowing that growth isn't supposed to feel easy. So now, it's your turn to decide. Will you let the old you win? Or will you fight for the person you know you can become? Most people wish for change, but few are truly committed to it. And that's the difference between those who transform their lives and those who stay stuck. Commitment means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means pushing through discomfort, doubt, and setbacks. Because when you're merely interested in success, you do what's easy. When you're committed, you do whatever it takes. And that starts the moment you wake up. Your morning routine isn't just about what you do, it's about who you're becoming. The most successful people in the world don't wake up and hope the day goes well. They take control. They set the tone. They build momentum before the world can distract them. Imagine starting each morning with movement, getting your body active, shaking off laziness, then journaling, clearing your mind, setting intention, then writing down your goals, reminding yourself of what you're fighting for. This structure isn't just a routine, it's armor, a way to protect yourself from distractions, doubts, and setbacks. But even the strongest warriors need something more: accountability. Because motivation fades, discipline is hard, and when things get tough, it's easy to slip back into old habits. That's why you need accountability, both internal and external. Internal accountability is keeping promises to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, do it. No excuses. Every time you follow through, you build self-trust. Every time you break a promise, you weaken it. External accountability is surrounding yourself with people who won't let you quit. People who will push you, challenge you, remind you of your potential. If you don't have that, find it. A mentor, a community, even just one friend who refuses to let you settle. But no matter what, there's one thing you must embrace: failure. Because failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every setback is a lesson. Every mistake a stepping stone. The people who win in life aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who get up faster each time they do. And over time, as you keep showing up, something powerful happens. Consistency turns into momentum. At first, progress feels slow, almost invisible. You might wonder if the work is even paying off. But success is like water dripping on a stone. It seems small, but over time, it shapes the entire surface. Most people quit before they see the results. They stop 3 feet from gold, but not you, because you know the truth. If you keep showing up, keep pushing, keep growing, one day you'll wake up and realize you've become unstoppable. Look in the mirror again. Who do you choose to be today? Because right now, in this very moment, you have a decision to make. Do you stay the same, trapped by doubt, hesitation, and old habits? Or do you finally break the cycle? This is not about tomorrow, not next week, not someday. It's about right now, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. The longer you hesitate, the more control your past has over your future. So make a vow to yourself, to your dreams, to the future you that's waiting on the other side of your courage. No more excuses, no more waiting for the right time, no more letting fear decide your destiny. A year from now, you'll look back and see 2 choices: regret or transformation. You'll either be thankful you started today or wishing you had. And if you feel that fire inside you right now, don't ignore it. That's your future self calling. That's the life you were meant to live, begging you to step up. But you don't have to do it alone. Find people who are on the same journey. Surround yourself with those who refuse to let you settle. Share your journey, hold yourself accountable, and most of all, take action. Because the only enemy that ever mattered is the one you choose to defeat today.